almost didn't share these cottagecore wall art ideas, then I decided to include my mishaps. All you need for these is a printer, but I made mine a little more complicated. I'm starting with an 8 by 10 canvas panel, and I wanted to iron on this gingham design I printed on Cricut Printable Iron-On. This is from Creative Fabrica. This image is also from there, and to get it in the oval shape I used Microsoft Word, clicked insert shape and selected an oval. Then I dragged with the mouse to create the shape. Then I went to shape format. You can right click to find this, and shape fill, then selected picture to insert the image into the shape. Now this image had a little frame around it, so to zoom in and get rid of the frame, you can right click and use format shape, and then go over to the little picture icon and use crop to make the image bigger. So once I was happy with the size, I was able to print the image, and you'll see I did go back and make it bigger. Now I trimmed down my gingham print to fit the canvas panel, and my first mishap is going to be in the iron-on process, which you'll see in a second. So I preheated the canvas and peeled the backing off my iron-on design, and all was well with the preparation, but then when I pressed the design, I applied firm pressure, which is not necessary for this material. So here you can see I'm really pushing down on that heat press, and it's not necessary at all. The worst part is I didn't realize until after this cooled, because I put a book on it so that the canvas didn't warp while cooling down. And you'll see that right here. So there was some wrinkling, some tearing, and this was just not salvageable. So I decided to print another gingham pattern, this time just on cardstock, and I opted to go with a lighter pink color, which I ended up liking better. Now all that's left to do is layer these two images, and I just used my tape runner on the back of the oval and then centered it over the gingham pattern to tack it into place. Now a wood frame completes the cottagecore aesthetic, and this one is a thrifted find that I cleaned up, but to add insult to injury, I struggled getting the glass back into place and ended up cutting my finger in the process. Now, if you've seen more than one of my videos, you know I like to add a little rub and buff as a finishing detail, and I did just that to the inner border of the frame. Stay tuned for the final look. Now for the second cottagecore look, I went right in with the rub and buff. This frame is a darker wood, and I wanted the two to coordinate, so I covered this one completely. And you can see the band-aid there on my finger from my glass injury. Now continuing with the layered look, I created this floral design in Cricut Design Space, and my next mishap is coming up. I used the pattern fill option to add the striped design to a rectangle shape, and I wanted the flower in the center, so I added a circle and sliced the two to create a cutout, and that is where I messed up. So even though I flattened the design, when it was cutting, it cut the flower in the center separately. It didn't recognize that there, well, it did, I guess it recognized that there was no background there. So I went back and added the circle to the center and reprinted it. And here you can see that error that it's cutting in the center, which is not what I wanted. Again, you can create these wall art ideas using just paper. But it's time for some redemption. I added the flower and striped design to this 5x7 canvas panel, this time being very careful and using less pressure with my heat press, and spoiler alert, it turns out beautifully. I don't know, maybe I'm just losing my Cricut mojo. What do you think? Let me know in the comments if you sometimes have to take a break from crafting. And we are almost done with this one. So for the base layer, I'm using this floral print fabric to cover another 8x10 canvas panel because this frame did not come with glass or backing and I needed it to be nice and sturdy. So I cut the fabric slightly larger than the canvas and used my tape runner again to secure the edges onto the back. Now, one final frame assembly, and to finish it off, I'm going to attach that 5x7 canvas using hot glue. And of course, it wouldn't be a mishap video if I didn't run out of hot glue. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What do you think of these cottagecore wall art ideas? I am so happy with how they turned out despite the mishaps, and I'll link to all the images I used below and see you in the next one.